Hi everyone. So in this video, I want to discuss about inventory forecasting system and how experts plan 30, 60 and 90 days ahead of an inventory planning. So without further delay, let's get into it. So here what forecasting really is. So I wanted to give you an overview of what is it all about. So forecasting is not about predicting perfectly. It exists to reduce certainty. The goal is to see problems early. And with all of these things, preparedness matters more than accuracy. So forecasting is all about ready for the next inventory and ready for the cash flows. So we need to aware of all the problems that can arise. I would say not all the problem, but most of the problems that arise due to the inventory, and we can plan it accordingly. So we don't want to get out of stock. So this would be one of the reason why we do the forecasting and why it really matters. Now, why most inventory forecasting fails? So here are a few of the reasons why it fails. Seller chase perfect accuracy. So they're mostly looking for the accuracy. They want to get as much accurate as they can, but there is still uncertainty. And they mostly ignore the variability that sometimes in some quarters the sales high, sometimes they're low. It may be occur due to the holidays. So it depends a lot. So we need to include this variability and have some threshold for the variability. Then delays are not planned for. So there can be some of the delays, and we need to add some buffer or lead time for those delays. So the forecasting become reactive guess. Like they are mostly guessing, okay, this much inventory was lastly ordered, so we need to order now this inventory. So they work completely on the guesses. So this is one of the failures for most of the sellers. Now, what forecasting is actually for? It's for anticipate cash requirements, identify inventory risk, early create time to make calm decisions. So it will reduce emergency actions. So this is all about forecasting. It's not about the accuracy. It's more about the risk identification and cash anticipation. So this is mostly for these things, and we should be aware of it. So it will give us time to think and have a calm decisions. And on top of that, it will also reduce the emergency actions. Then there is this forecasting window, the 30, 60, and 90 days framework window, which I mostly work with. So let me explain the 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days planning for the inventory. So in the 30 days of time period, what I mostly do is go to the execution phase and work on the execution phase only and try to sell the inventory that have already been in stock and want to sell as much as possible in the first 30 days. Now in the 60 days, there is a risk detection period where we can take calm decision and see how the inventory is looking forward for us. So we'll take a whole period of 60 days and decide how the inventory is moving forward and what we need to be aware of, what's the biggest problem, biggest challenges we have, and how to overcome those. If there's any problem with the suppliers, or if there's any problem with the procurements, or any problem with the logistics, so we need to aware of those and take note of that, so it can be risk and intermediate. Now the 90 days period is where the strategic planning come, and we need to have at least 90 days of inventory forecasting. So in, so in 90 days period, we exactly know how much we sold and how the execution looks like, what problems we have came across. And in this strategic planning, now what we're going to do is we're going to decide and plan the inventory. The next is what I track versus what I ignore. So it's also one of the most important things that most sellers should also be aware, so that they can reduce the noise. The first one is track inventory coverage and lead time buffers. So we need to be aware of the inventory coverage. Like let's making an order for next 90 days. So it will give me a coverage of 90 days, and then I can plan my inventory on it. And on top of that, I need to add the lead time buffers. So there could be some delays, some problems. So we need to also add those. At least I would say 10 to 15 days of lead time is better to be taken into consideration. The next one is track cash flow runway. We also need to take into consideration of the cash flows because we are spending on advertisement, and on top of that we are spending on the inventory and also on the logistics, and there are some Amazon fees, so we're also spending on that. So and also we are paying for the storage cost, so there's a lot of fees attached with it, so we need to properly manage those cash flows. The next one is ignore daily noise and over precision. So we don't, as I mentioned earlier, what we need to ignore is the over precision. We cannot be precise every time. There is some variables that move up and down a lot. So we need to ignore those noises and over precision. We just need to be accurate, not accurate on the how much inventory we need, but we need to be at least 70 to 80% accurate on what decisions we are making based on the past performances we have within this strategic decision we are looking for. So from execution till risk detection and till strategic planning, we need to be aware of all of those things. Now the next thing is simplicity beats fall accuracy, and we also wanted to make sure that we need to keep the process so simple that it's easy to predict and do not overcomplicate. We have to remove all the noises and we have to keep the things very, very simple. The real outcome of good forecasting. So what would be the good forecasting outcome? It will give us few surprises for sure. We'll have less surprises. Then we will have more predictable cash flows. As I mentioned previously, cash flow is very important for the business. And this system or this forecasting system will give us a predictable cash flow. And we can also take a calm decision making. So it will give us calm decision making process, and also it will also give us a space to grow sustainably. So these are the outcomes of a good forecasting, that it will give us time to decide, also having good cash flows, and we will have few surprises. We can spend better on advertisement and we can have lower fees. As I mentioned, cash flows is important, and then it will give us space to grow. So these are the most important thing, and that's why it's very, very. Now the final thoughts. So forecasting is about readiness. We need to be ready for the inventory, for the cash flows, and then we don't want to be certain. Human likes to behave in a certain way, so it gives us a predictable system where we can be aware of our problems and take decisions ahead of it. Then we have systems create foresights. So if we have those systems and we have all of these aligned, then it will give us a foresight, and this foresight will create control. So we'll have control our inventory rather than we are just losing and getting things out of hand. So this is it from this video. Let me know if you have any question. Drop your comments below. I'll be happy to read all of them and give you answer to them. And this is Kavish Ali signing off. See you in the next video.